Zeke Thornfield hadn't been home in 12 years. After serving overseas, he'd spent time working construction jobs across the Midwest. But now, at 41, he was finally coming back to Thornfield Ranch, 847 acres of open land in rural Texas that had been in his family for generations. His grandfather had bought the land back in 1924. Zeke had always known one day it would be his, but nothing could have prepared him for what he saw as he drove up the dirt road. Where there used to be open fields and fences, there were houses. Not one or two, but dozens. Paved streets, fire hydrants, street signs, lawns with little "Welcome to Sunny Glen HOA" signs. At first, Zeke thought he'd taken the wrong road, but then he saw it. His family's old barn, now painted blue, and turned into a community center. That's when it hit him. These houses were on his land. Zeke drove straight to the county office the next morning. He asked for the property records. The clerk hesitated, then brought out a thick folder. The records showed that in 2014, a developer named Patricia Whitmore, better known to the locals as Karen with a clipboard, had submitted plans to build a subdivision. Somehow, she had acquired a permit. The county had assumed the land was public because of a forgotten railroad path that once cut through it. No one had challenged it. No one had checked deeper. But Zeke did. He went back home, dug through his grandfather's old files, and found what he was hoping for. A brittle, yellowed deed from 1924, signed and sealed. It clearly showed the land was privately owned, with one exception, a railroad easement. But here's the thing. Railroad easements aren't ownership. They just allow tracks to pass through. And those tracks had been pulled out in 1977, which meant, legally, the easement had expired. And Zeke? He still owned every inch of that land. Zeke hired a real estate lawyer, a good one. And then he dropped the hammer. He sent a cease and desist to Sunny Glen HOA. He filed a quiet title lawsuit. And then he waited. The HOA board laughed at first. Patricia, the developer, even posted in the neighborhood Facebook group saying, "Some guy thinks he owns Sunny Glen." But the court didn't think it was funny. When the judge reviewed the deed, the history of the land, and the expired easement, the ruling was clear. Zeke Thornfield had never sold his land. The development was built on property he still legally owned. Patricia had built 98 homes on land that didn't belong to her, and she was about to pay the price. Over the next 3 months, things got intense. HOA residents were furious. They thought Zeke was trying to steal their homes. But Zeke wasn't cruel. He didn't want to evict anyone. He gave each homeowner 3 options. 1, they could buy the land their house sat on, at market price, plus penalties. 2, they could rent it under a 99-year land lease. Or 3, they could move. Most chose to buy. A few sued Patricia instead. Some moved out, leaving their homes behind. Patricia? She filed for bankruptcy. Turns out she'd cut corners everywhere, skipping title checks, rushing permits, ignoring state laws. Her whole empire crumbled. Today, Zeke still owns the land. The neighborhood that tried to ignore him now calls him Mr. Thornfield. The HOA? Still there, but now under his control. Every time someone walks past the old barn-turned-community center, they remember the guy who came home, found 98 homes on his property, and proved, piece by piece, that he still owned every single inch they were standing on. Some neighbors, who once avoided Zeke, began showing up at his door with pies, handshakes, and quiet apologies. They had judged him without knowing the truth. One couple, Mike and Brenda, invited him over for dinner. They showed him photos of how their kids had grown up in the very fields he used to ride horses in as a boy. It was strange, but somehow it felt right. Zeke realized he wasn't just protecting land, he was protecting the history and future of a place that still had meaning. And now, that place was finally back under the care of someone who respected it. Zeke didn't stop there. He used part of the settlement money from Patricia's bankruptcy to fix the broken fencing along the North Ridge. He restored the old windmill near the creek. And on weekends, he held outdoor gatherings near the barn, BBQs, storytelling nights, even small concerts. The same people who once ignored his name now sat beside him on folding chairs, laughing over smoked ribs and lemonade. Sunny Glen wasn't just a subdivision anymore. It was part of Thornfield Ranch again, and its new roots were deeper then, concrete and property lines. What happened on that land became more than just a legal case. It became a quiet lesson, one the whole community wouldn't forget. That sometimes the past holds power, that paperwork matters, and that you should never assume a man's silence means surrender. Zeke Thornfield had waited 12 years to come home. But in the end, he didn't just take back what was his, he gave something back too. This is QZ Stories, where real stories hit different. If you felt something today, if justice matters to you, share this with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to like and subscribe. We've got more powerful stories coming your way.